there's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. The Bod Father.
Man, this stuff rocks.
This is Colin Burgeson of Psidium, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guest do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour Podcast. And I want to thank each and every single person that's out there listening and the ones who come back and rewatch this podcast episode. And on today's episode, I have none other than Colin Burgeson, lead guitar of Psidium, hard rock heavy metal band from Spokane, Washington. Psidium has released their debut album, Blood in the Water, back in May of this year. And we're going to be talking to Colin about all this stuff and what's happening and what's going on. So welcome to the podcast, Colin, and how you been?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, John. I'm excited here to talk about the record. Excited to be on your show. Thanks for having me.
So how excited are you to actually have this debut album finally released in a time that's absolutely nuts right now?
Oh, it was. It's a great feeling. It's the writing and recording and mixing, mastering, the whole process is one thing, but to kind of actually have the finished product, hold it in your hand and look at it and know that it's out there for people to hear. It's a great feeling. And yeah, like you said, it's we're still in kind of unprecedented times. It's a great accomplishment. It's good to have and good to have out there and get done. So we're very happy about it and excited.
So after the band was formed in 2019, you guys started writing on what would be the debut album, Blood in the Water. Was this album already recorded before the pandemic, or was this recorded during the pandemic?
We did all the tracking and the recording we did just before the pandemic hit. So we started recording it towards the end of 2019 and did all the tracking and got that finished up. And then is when the pandemic hit. So we had just finished recording it before everything kind of shut down.
But what was your guys' thoughts though when that happened? I mean, were you guys a little nervous releasing this at during this time, since you can't tour hardly and things are going to get shut back down, I would say eventually.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of one of those things where no one really knew, or I feel like even still really knows exactly what's going to happen with this whole situation. So we just decided to kind of take it and, do our thing about as normally as we could, I guess, since everything, a lot of things are still up in the air. They were really up in the air back then. So we just decided, hey, let's just finish the record. Let's release it. Let's get it out there, kind of get our name out there a little bit, start getting some traction, and we'll kind of, we'll go from there, and we'll see what happens. We can only control the things that we can control. Right. So we decided let's do that. And then we'll take everything else as it comes.
Yeah, and I like to say this, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but I feel like this is kind of a equal playing field now for every band that's out there, because you've got everybody at home and everybody's releasing stuff at home, and so it's an even playing field. And I hate to say it, and I'm not meaning it in a bad way at all. I'm just saying that this is an opportunity for you guys, every local small band.
Right. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. Everyone's kind of every musician in a band is kind of in the same boat, whether you're, you're professional, you do it for a living, or you're just a local band, garage band, just kind of getting started up. Everyone's kind of in the same boat. Just can't really, things are opening, tours are starting up again, but still things are just so up in the air. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but but yeah, it's kind of a good. It was always more of a time when the pandemic hit just to write and try to get some new music out there. And because venues and tours, everything was shut down for the longest time. That's the only thing musicians really could do. It was either that or just, take a 9-to-5 job just to kind of make ends meet. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Everyone's kind of on the same level ground right now. So it's definitely different, and no one really has the advantage over anybody else at this point. So
I like to use the phrase of you have to adapt and as of right now.
Yes, absolutely. That's about all you can do right now is just kind of, that's really all you can do is just adapt with the times. And, there's only so much that we as people can control
exactly
in the world. So
right.
You can either just sit and let it bring you down and pout about it, or you can just keep doing whatever you can do.
What's impressed or excited you the most, Colin, about making this debut album, if anything, man? What sticks out the most for you, possibly, if anything?
Well, I feel like at least for me anyway, at least I look at the body of work that we all put together for this record. And in my opinion, it's, at least for me, it's the best, the best collection of songs that I've had a part in writing, in my opinion. This is by far as the best group of musicians that I've gotten to work with, and some of the best chemistry I've had to work with as far as musicians. And so that was and that's the really exciting part, is to see all that come together and put out in a product that I think that everyone has been extremely proud of, very happy with the way it turned out. And it's just the whole, and especially right now in the times that we're in, to be able to put out something like this that we're all can be proud of and super happy with. And it's a good feeling. So that's probably the most exciting part.
Any tracks standing out more to you than any right now on Blood in the Water? I know it must change every time you listen to it. I know this is your all's babies, but do you have any that stick out for you personally?
Ooh, man, it's hard to. It's the same question I got asked the other day. It's hard to pick. I love them. I love them all. Yeah. Exactly. No, I love all the songs. I love them all. They all hold a special place. If I had to pick one, Heartless is probably my personal favorite. And I think that's because that's just I listen to music constantly, and I'm always hearing my favorite songs from my favorite artists going, man, I want to write a song like that. And to me, Heartless was always that song. I listened back to that song. I'm like, wow, we wrote this. That's cool. That's really cool. So that one kind of sticks out in that regard to me a little bit more.
Were there any tracks that didn't make this album that we can see on an upcoming EP or album down the road, possibly, or no?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. We have 5 or 6 songs that are written and ready to go for the next record.
Wow. I've interviewed a lot of people, and it's going back to the pandemic thing where everybody's clogged up in the house. They're like, we've got stuff for 3 or 4 albums. I'm going, 3 or 4 albums? You got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
It blows my mind.
Yeah. It's insane how much, there's a lot of, and when I say 5 or 6 songs, those are just, completed works that we've played live at some of our shows in the past. There's countless of other, bits and pieces of stuff that we've written, like just riffs here and there, lyrics here and there, just stuff that we've kind of dinked around with and never really kind of fleshed out. But so there's always something cooking. There's always something just kind of sitting there waiting to be fleshed out and written.
Was there a track that you guys were working on that totally ended up sounding different than it was intended to? Was there one that kind of took a huge turn for you all?
Oh, absolutely. That would be the definitely Best Damn Thing. Which is kind of, Best Damn Thing was kind of a last minute addition to the record. This was it was a song that Jason, our lead singer, had written back when he was 17. So like 25 years ago, 25, 30 years ago. And he brought it to me. We had already kind of tracked the rest of the record and we were kind of starting the mixing process. And he brought that song to me. He sang it to me and I heard something in my head like, wait, I got something for that. I got a part for that. So we got together, kind of wrote that song, and we brought it to our producer and we kind of rearranged it even further. But yeah, that one just it stands out in the fact that it's completely different than the rest of the record. It's just an acoustic ballad, just to kind of change up the feel a little bit. And it's something that if you hear the previous songs before that, it's not something you'd expect us as a band to do. But I think it kind of, it adds some versatility to the band and the record, I would say.
Yeah, but does it kind of blow your mind that somebody would have something for that long, especially lyrics, 17 plus years, you know what I'm saying? And then just to pull it out and have it now to use, that blows my mind to see where they were at that time.
Right. Yeah. And it's crazy how that works. Sometimes we have, I've done this in the past too. I'll have certain parts in either whether it be melodies, lyrics, riffs, or anything like that. And I'll come up with it at one time. It won't go anywhere. I for some reason, I just can't get it to finish. And then something else comes up where it kind of inspires that idea. And it can be, like you said, it could be, 20, 30 years. And then just something your life situations change to where you can, hey, I think I can make something with this now.
Yeah. And it's interesting, man. I people make fun of me for this, but make fun of me all you want to, but it's cool to go back and people who kept journals from like grade school and high school, 30 and 40 years down the road, to go back and see what was happening then and, what was popular in their lives. You're going, wow, that's crazy. Compared to that to now, how much stuff is gone.
Exactly. Yeah. I do that with sometimes with the Facebook memories, I look back like, man, I was nauseating 10 years ago. But it's like, and it's the same way with, with music and stuff. Like I'll have parts and, I like to try to record any cool ideas that I can, whether I end up using it for something, but I'll listen back to old recordings and old stuff I've saved. I'm like, hey, that was actually pretty cool. Yeah. I was wondering what I was thinking at that time,
Yeah. So new vocalist Jason Hatch wanted to audition and he hit it out of the park and opened the band to a new musical direction. All right, Colin, what specifically did he bring to this band that may have been missing? What direction did he open your guys' eyes to that gave y'all a kick in the ass, possibly?
Well, first off, is we wrote the title track to the record that day.
Wow.
The first time we had ever met the guy, anyone had ever really, we had talked, Eric, our bass player, I'd talked to him previously, kind of set up the audition, but we'd never met him, didn't know anything about him, never jammed with him before, didn't know barely what he sounded like, except for a demo that he sent us. And that was just the kicker. He came in prepared with a couple of songs that we wanted him to learn. We played them and it was great. And then we just wrote the title track to our first record just that day. And we kind of knew right off the bat, like, okay, this is the fit that we were looking for. Because the chemistry was just instant.
Right.
There was no forcing it. We didn't have to try. We just picked up our instruments and it was just there. So it was perfect.
Yeah, it's like if it ain't broke, don't fix it, man. That's the glove.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Who produced the album?
It was produced by Dave Sims. He's a good old friend of mine. I've known him for a long time. He has his own private studio in Coeur d'Alene that so he produced, mixed, and engineered the whole record. And he's just he just works out of his own house, and he's just in all professional, completely professional studio. It was great.
So working with him, did he get something out of you guys that maybe somebody else might not have gotten? Did you feel like he pushed you guys to your limits on this possibly?
Oh, absolutely. In a lot of ways. Yeah. He was, it's always, a lot of times it's good to have that kind of outside voice.
Yeah.
Just telling you just what would sound good, what would sound better. And sometimes what just plain sucks, you know. Sometimes it's good to have that guy that says, hey, what you did there, don't ever do that again. But no, he brought out certain things, certain melodies and certain things. And, you know, Mr. Hatch's singing, I mean, he helped me with my guitar parts and my guitar solos. We would sit down for hours just kind of going over it note by note and just ditching out stuff that didn't sound very good, adding stuff and changing things that make it sound better. And then just adding certain key pieces to like the arrangement and stuff, even if it's little 1 or 2 second pieces of the arrangement with a break here and there, whether it's a part cut at the end and that added part in the middle, just things like that just sometimes just change the whole dynamic of the song. And sometimes us as the band, it's stuff that we just don't hear. And then he suggested to us and we'd go back and listen to it and we're like, wow, that's just it just changes the whole song.
Yeah, and Jason comes in the first day and he's already leading and showing you guys what you guys should do, this and that. That's awesome. You don't find that very, very often in somebody. Oh
no, it's very rare that you find that someone who was just kind of he just showed up that one day and it like he'd been there for years. It was really just that smooth.
Yeah, you get the ones that are like, how's that sound? That sounds okay. I'm good.
It's like, that was all right.
It's
good
like,
job.
Good job. What do you mean? No. No. What can else
yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Drop down to C, maybe. I don't know.
I agree with that. I second that.
So who did the artwork for the album?
That was a guy named I'm gonna butcher his name. It's Andre Cuziola, I think. If he's listening, I apologize if I mispronounced that, but he's an artist based out of the UK. I sent him I hired him to do the artwork. I didn't even really give him much of a direction.
Oh wow.
He just I gave him a very, very basic idea, that matched with the album title. And he just put that together and it was just kind of mind blowing how cool that artwork turned out. And that's one of the big comments we've gotten on the record since it came out is how cool that artwork turned out. He did a great job.
It is. You got two people in cloaks standing there and they're pouring blood into the water at the fountain there. And it's cool. I like it. I really dig it too. So it's
Thank you. Yeah.
Kudos to Andre. And sorry,
yeah.
I would butcher your name too. And it's okay. Cause that's what we do in here. We make mistakes. So
that is fine. We are people.
So with Jason coming into the band, do you see that he's helped the band to still musically grow and go outside that box of adding new stuff to your guys' music?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. He brings in a really unique style. He's a rocker and metalhead, just like us. He grew up on the, Overkill, Flotsam and Jetsam, Bay Area thrash metal, that kind of stuff. But one thing I'll tell you is he has got an incredible country voice.
Oh God.
Like incredible. And it's really cool. Like I wouldn't say we have a country feel on our songs, but sometimes with certain melodies, you can kind of hear the country influence. And if you mix that in with the rest of the work, it just sounds, it's something that's hard to describe. And it's unique to my ears and it's great.
So is this the sound moving forward that you are possibly wanting to keep as is?
Yeah, I think on this first record, we kind of set the basis and set the formula moving forward. I think, I don't think we're going to, we're not going to try to stray too far. I mean, the stuff that we have written that we haven't recorded yet is, stylistically, it's pretty similar. And I think we're going to try to keep that. We're going to keep that direction. I don't think we're going to try to at least not stray too far. I mean, if we have I can't speak for a few years down the road if we want to try something different, but I think we're going to try to stick to the formula we established on this first record.
And there's nothing wrong with wanting to try something new. It's like I've said a million times. You can't be angry and mad and go 1,000 miles an hour. And then, it has to end after a while. You're like, I'm getting tired of this.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And, it's always it's a tough battle for musicians and bands to want to try something new, because it's inevitable that you're going to alienate some of your fans.
Sure. Sure.
They're going to be your longtime loyal fans that have liked you from the beginning, that want something that they expect. They're not going to really, be that band and stick with that style.
Sure.
But I mean, coming from a musician's perspective, you're constantly growing. You always want to evolve. And sometimes, certain things in certain styles, you just kind of grow out of, just after time, and you want to try and branch out and try to do something different. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I think it's great, to want to try to do something different, but it's always tough, because there's going to be people in your fan bases that aren't going to be happy with it, unfortunately.
Yeah. I'm a huge Metallica fan. A lot of people don't like Metallica after the Black Album. I'm just like, are you not listening? It bothers me, but I mean, hey, that's their decision. That's their cup of tea. But I'm just like, man, I like what they've done. They've grown and went out, way and beyond I could ever imagine.
Yeah, I mean, and again, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there are plenty of Metallica stuff after the Black Album that I think is great. It's just not what people wanted. I guess they wanted them to be the same Metallica that they were on Master of Puppets and Ride the Lightning, and they didn't want that to ever change, and they did, and people just didn't like it, unfortunately. But that is what it is.
They're still good. I don't care.
Oh, I agree. They're still great. They're classic.
What do you hope everyone takes away while listening to any of Psidium's music in general, Colin? What do you hope they get when they listen to it, man, or take away from it?
Well, I just hope they hear I just hope the passion and the time and effort that we put into writing and making it, I just hope it comes out to when they're listening. I just hope they have as much fun listening to it as we did making it and playing it. And it just, hopefully and we hope that it means, that it can connect with people, the meaning of the songs. Hopefully we get people that it really, touches their lives, and hopefully it means something to them. So we just hope that they get as much out of it as we put into it, is all we hope for.
And it's so cool that when you guys write music, that it's intended your way, but everybody else can accept it as a different way. And sometimes it helps them overcome things. And I think that's the real beauty of music, man.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes there are certain messages in certain songs, even if it's may or may not even be intended. Yeah. But, I know for a fact, for me personally, there are plenty of bands and music and songs that have gotten me through certain difficult times. And it just has a way of just, no matter kind of what crappy situation someone's going through in their life, there are certain songs that kind of just makes them feel okay, Oh
yeah. And there's a lot of albums out there, man, that people feel acceptance from a band, like, hey, I'm okay. This is I can, this band knows me, or, this, I'm trying to say this. How can I say this? They grab onto a band and they feel like they're accepted. They're not outcasts. They feel like they're wanted. They feel like they're friends. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
A connection with that. So I think that's a beauty of music as well. And that's cool. I'm glad people can grab onto that and do it.
Yeah, me too. I think that's a great thing. Absolutely.
What made you want to become a musician? What was that spark for you? And I know your dad was a member of Foghat. A lot of babies were made during Foghat, but
that's right.
What was that spark for you, possibly?
It was mostly my dad. Yeah, growing up, he did it for a living. When I was growing up, that's all he did was he was a musician, and that's what kind of inspired me to pick up the guitar in the first place. He gave me my first guitar lessons, and so yeah, that was definitely my dad was definitely the root of definitely where I started.
So how cool was it if this was even possible? Was you in school at the time when your dad was in Foghat, going to school, saying, "Hey, yeah, man, my dad's in Foghat." Yeah.
No, actually, he was in Foghat. His time in Foghat actually took place was before I was born. It was a few years before I was born, so I didn't really like when I was a kid and when I was little growing up. I knew I'd see his old Foghat jacket and hat and stuff, but I didn't really know what it was. I didn't really start getting the connection until I was like in middle school and high school, and then I started looking back on learning kind of more about who Foghat was, and then I'd be like my teachers and coaches like, "Your dad was in Foghat?" I was like, yeah, it was. And then I got to then certain people would bring it up and like, "Oh yeah, that is actually pretty cool." So I didn't really grasp it until I was a little older, but yeah, no, it's a cool thing to kind of.
Do you still have a go-to album or song that you find yourself going back to and listening to from time to time, Colin? I know you have to have it, man, because I do. I've got it every single day.
Ooh, boy. Oh, man. Oh, there's a lot to choose from. I guess, oh, man, that's a great question. I guess it would be, oh, man, there's a lot to choose from. There are certain things I go back to at certain points of time to kind of depending on kind of where I'm at. Anything by, one of my first major rock influences was Mark Tremonti. I used to listen to a lot of Creed when I was growing up. And I guess I go back and anything by, Alter Bridge or Creed or anything by him, whenever I kind of turn that back on and listen to anything like that, it kind of just brings me back. It's more of a nostalgic thing, I guess. Kind of brings me back to a certain mindset when I was first starting out and first learning about music. So I guess that it'd be a lot of Mark Tremonti, early Alter Bridge, Creed. Does that answer your question a little bit?
That's totally fine.
Yeah, it's a tough question because there isn't one specific song or specific album that I really go back to. Because I go back through and listen to my music catalog all the time. Just kind of depends on the day and where I'm at. But there are certain things that I used to love listening to growing up. Maybe don't listen to as much these days that I'll listen to again, and it'll just kind of bring me back to a kind of a different place in mind.
All right, folks, you want to get out and pick up Psidium's debut album entitled Blood in the Water. You want to get out and pick that up. You trust me. You'll like this band. Give them a fair shot, and I'm sure you will. And Colin, how can folks stay in touch with you guys, buy this album, merchandise, all this good stuff, and possibly when you guys go on tour? How can they do that, sir?
Well, they can find us on Facebook and Instagram. We'll have constant updates on our Facebook and Instagram pages as far as new music releases, tour dates. We also have an official website, psidiummusicofficial.com, and we'll have all of our upcoming shows and upcoming tour dates posted there. We'll have the albums available for sale. We're getting the online merch store set up. That's still a work in progress right now, but that should be up and running here pretty soon. And you can find the Blood in the Water. You can find the debut album on anywhere you can get music: Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, anywhere you can stream or listen.
And before I let you go, would you care to do a promo for my podcast?
Oh, absolutely. This is Colin Burgeson of Psidium, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour Podcast. Check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link and our YouTube link. Please, folks, if you wouldn't mind, please subscribe to our YouTube link, because, hey, if somebody can dress up and eat bologna and sing Baby Shark all day long and get 1 million views and 1 million subs, come on, help a guy out. Come on. Also, please get out and check out Psidium. Pick up their debut album, Blood in the Water. You won't be disappointed. And plus, hey, guys, I've got Alice Cooper and Ace Frehley tickets to give away to the Appalachian Wireless Arena here in good old Eastern Kentucky. So you want to subscribe because it's very easy to win those tickets. So Colin, I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck, man.
Thank you, John. I appreciate all the support. Thank you very much for having me on the show tonight. And thank you again. I appreciate it very much.
Not a problem, my friend.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Hey everybody, it's John the Bod, aka the Bod Father, a BODS Mayhem Hour. If you want a great podcast to check out about Ozzy Osbourne, then look no further than Diary of the Madman, the Ultimate Ozzy Podcast, with hosts Dan Drago and Josh Crum. Jump aboard the crazy train with two lifelong Ozzy fans who will bring you two unique perspectives on his legendary career. Diary of the Madman, the Ultimate Ozzy Podcast, discuss all things Ozzy and all things Ozzy related, such as all albums from all of the eras, tours, Ozfest, reunions, and more. They'll pit albums against each other in battles to determine the ultimate Ozzy albums, plus discuss Ozzy-related artists such as Randy Rhoads, The Mighty Zakk Wylde, Jakey Lee, Bob Daisley, and Black Sabbath, among others. Please check out Diary of the Madman, the Ultimate Ozzy Podcast, where podcasts are available. And trust me, these two guys, they know more about Ozzy Osbourne than I think Sharon or Ozzy knows about Ozzy himself. So be sure to check out Diary of the Madman, the Ultimate Ozzy Podcast. Jump aboard.